we can go ahead and start working on the hole. This is your tailstock, Chuck, and your tailstock. The tang, on most lathes, there's a slot in the back of the tailstock that aligns up with this tang. Okay? On these clothing lathes, they don't have that. It's just basically the fit of the taper. So if you just take this and kind of shove it in there like that, it'll hold itself. Now, if you back it up past the numbers on the tailstock, it'll push the tailstock chuck back out. So you need to be careful how far you withdraw it, or you'll have to put it back in. Okay, this lever here locks the tailstock on the ways. Okay. Now, one thing we should do before we start sliding this around is put a little bit of oil on the way. Crown can, way oil for the ways. Okay, so we'll put a little oil on here. That way you don't have metal on metal. Okay, slides nice and smooth. Okay, in the little metal box is a center drill. Technically it's called a combined drill and countersink, and your 21/64 diameter drill. You want a center drill first. I'll show you why. If I put this drill in the chuck, okay, you're thinking that drill is steel, it's pretty rigid, okay, but watch. I can easily flex that. If you don't center drill first, the solid center part of the drill will be trying to go into solid material that at the very center of the part is basically has no speed, and it'll deflect off to the side. So what you want to do is you want to put the center drill in first and tighten it securely with the chuck key. Okay. Then we'll bring the tailstock so the drill is right up next to the part. Turn the machine on, start the spindle, and drill about halfway up the angled part of the tip of the drill. Okay, so we'll bring this tool in, and you don't have to push very hard. I'm not turning the tailstock hand wheel very hard at all. Go in along the straight part of the tip and about halfway up the angled part of the center drill. That'll give us a very nice concentric hole to start the 21/64 drill. Okay, now we'll put the 21/64 drill in the chuck. Make sure you don't shove it in where you're chucking on the flute. This chuck is not big enough really to do that, but you want to make sure you always grab the cylindrical portion of the drill shank. Look at your RPM formula is 4 times the cutting speed divided by the diameter. Okay? Cutting speed in mild steel with a high-speed steel tool is about 100. So 4 times 100 is 400 divided by the diameter. 21/64 is 0.3281. So 400 divided by 0.3 is about 1200 RPM. So I'll slow this down to about 1200. Okay. The little open top cans have cutting oil. Okay, so I'm going to wipe a little bit of cutting oil, need a new brush, on the drill. And now we're ready to start cutting. Okay. Take the drill in. It'll find that center point and go right in. When you get to the bottom of the small hole the center drill left, it'll be a little bit harder to turn. But look at how the chips are coming out nicely. Now this is a deep hole. When you get past about 4 times the diameter of the drill in the length of the hole, that's what they call deep hole drilling. As I begin to get deeper and deeper, the chips will have a hard time finding their way up the spiral of the drill and they'll start tacking. I can feel the handle getting a little bit harder to turn, and notice the chips are slowing down at the rate at which they eject from the drill. So now I'm going to back it out. Blow those off, wipe a little more oil on the drill, and go back in the hole. And when you go back in, be careful that you don't ram the drill into the bottom of the hole. And the deeper you get, the more often, this is called peck drilling, you're pecking your way through the hole. The deeper you go, the more often you have to peck. See, the chips are starting to pack? Okay. Now one thing you can do is you can release the tailstock and just pull it back instead of having to retract the hand wheel. Go back in. But if I do that too many times, the quill of the tailstock, this piece here, it's only so long. If I get it out there too far, watch what happens, okay? If we extend it all the way, it'll stop extending, right? And then it won't come back in because it's off the end of the threads on the screw that moves it. You just have to pull it back a little bit as you turn the hand wheel counterclockwise and bring it back in. Okay, so a little more cutting oil. Back in again. I'm actually poking through. I just got all the way through. If there's any doubt that you're all the way through, you can look through the hole in the end of the spindle and see light all the way through the parts. Okay, so now we've got our hole all the way through. We took care of the sharp edge on the outside of the part, but now there's a sharp edge at the mouth of the hole. You want to use the countersink to deburr that. Okay? But 1200 RPM is way faster than I really want to go. So what you can do is start the spindle and then lower the lever. As the spindle's coming to a stop, gently just push it in there. Now if you look, you should just barely be able to see a slight little chamfer at the mouth of the hole. I don't know if you can see it in the picture.